Hello, I welcome you all and thank you for joining us today for the launch of Mind Age Clock on the Clock platform, home of all our aging clocks. My name is Dipankar and I'm the CEO of Deep Longevity. Many of you were with us when we launched Clock last year. Today is an equally important milestone for us as we keep our promise of making Clock a unique aging clock platform, one of its kind in the world. I'm thrilled to see so many of our stakeholders in this webinar. Thank you so much for being with us. I have with me Alex, who founded Deep Longevity, and Feder, who leads our research and is behind our science. At this point, I'll invite Alex to share his thoughts about aging clocks as well as psychological aging. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Deep, and thanks everybody for joining. My name is Alex Shabankov. I am focusing on the development of aging clocks since 2013. So it's my 10th year in the business. And I think we've seen so far pretty much every data type being used for building those aging clocks. Aging clocks is not a new concept. Aging biomarkers of aging have been around for a very long time, and people have been trying to measure the pace of aging, probably since the dawn of civilization, and much more intensively in the mid-20th century when blood tests became available and people started building all kinds of models. And when big data became available, people started utilizing pretty much every data type that changed in time to build predictors of age. As a matter of fact, your brain is also pretty much wired to predict age of other people. If you look at someone, you'll be able to guess their age with reasonable accuracy. For humans, it's around 5 years, plus minus. So I mean absolute error if you just look at a person. And for some of the people who are not used to other races or other phenotypes that are a little bit more rare, they actually do even worse jobs. So they can guess someone with, plus minus 10 years. Happened to me a lot when I traveled in Asia. I do not predict people as well as in Asia, as well as Europeans, for example, who I got to see a lot. And you can learn a lot from this concept, from how you can predict age when you are building age predictors using artificial intelligence, because you are also a form of intelligence, and you train to predict age in a very similar way as AI does. So my first aging clock was published in 2016, utilizing just regular blood tests. We decided to apply artificial intelligence, also deep learning specifically, to be able to predict and generalize, to predict the age of a patient based on their blood biochemistry data. And in 2016, we utilized 41 markers in your peripheral blood test. So anything, something that you can get from the visit to your general practitioner pretty much any day. And we got to pretty reasonable accuracy, plus minus 5.5 years back then. Published and realized that with deep learning, you can now train those aging clocks on pretty much anything. And some of those aging clocks, depending on the data you use, can be also interpretable. You can basically explain why a certain number of features in a specific data set within a specific data type is predictive of age. And you can rank some of those features and figure out which one is more important for the accuracy of a prediction, which one is less important. There are multiple ways to build causal models, and we've done a lot of work over the years in those aging clocks. So next slide. And deep longevity started originally as a spin-off of in silico medicine. So in silico is focusing on drug discovery. So we utilize predominantly gene expression, protein expression, methylation data to identify actionable protein targets for a variety of diseases. And aging clocks were something that we were still are deeply passionate about. Building those aging clocks, again, using multiple different data types and trying to identify possible protein targets. However, we also realized that there is a huge value of those aging clocks for the biomedical community, and also in lots of consumer interest. We decided to spin this research out as a separate business and call it Deep Longevity. And then the company got acquired by Endurance Longevity, a publicly traded company, and scaled. So now it has a new CEO, Deep, and a team of scientists. One of those key scientists is Fyodor Galkin, who is the author of many of those clocks. And Deep Longevity, since its spin-off, since it got spun off in 2019, did a huge amount of work in explainable AI, trying to build those clocks utilizing many data types, and then understand how those clocks work and how we can move the needle in one way or another. So basically, can we reverse predicted age using a therapeutic, or is it just a predictive biomarker, or can we link it to some disease, to some health condition, and published very large number of papers, so several key seminal research papers. We got 3 granted patents. So some of those patents are on transcriptomic and proteomic aging clocks that I consider to be extremely valuable for drug discovery, because you can decipher them into specific protein targets that you can address with a drug. And it has multiple other pending applications, over 20 peer-reviewed papers, and it created a portfolio of different aging clocks. Some are commercially ready clocks, like blood age. Again, that research goes back all the way to 2016 when we first published the aging clock using peripheral blood tests, and that's a very, very easily accessible data type. Again, every time you go to a doctor, you'll be able to get it for any reason. And then also 3 commercially accessible aging clocks were launched. One is epigenetic age. So that's based on a research paper by Fyodor Galkin, who was the first author, called Deep Mage, where we utilized deep learning on a net totality of CPG sites and the entire methylome, not just a specific small subset of CPG sites. And we also published another really cool paper that Deep is going to talk about, mind age. So it turns out that we can also predict age utilizing survey data, and you change in time over the years. You can ask a person several questions and you can guess their age without knowing their age. And some of those questions could be obvious and directly linked to your chronological age. You can actually ask somebody's age. You wouldn't do that, but that's very correlated with your chronological age. And you can ask when the person went to school, or the age of their spouse, and many other questions that will very easily give out chronological age. So we decided to exclude many of those questions and focus only on questions that describe modifiable features, so something that you can change, something that is not directly correlated with your chronological age, like the features I've just described, and also something that is not genetically driven, so something that you can, again, modify. And we came up with a list of questions, used huge data sets of population survey data to train deep neural networks to predict age, and did it within certain genders, with certain population groups, tested it with multiple diseases, demonstrated that those clocks are also very relevant for prediction of depression, for prediction of different mental disorders, and for even evaluating your state of happiness. And since psychological aging is something that is easier to understand than biological data types, where it's driven by biological data types that are not interpretable by human brain. In psychology, those questions could be interpreted, right? And we understand now that, for example, if you change one feature, for example, longevity expectations, how long do you expect to live, your psychological age is going to be reduced, so your mind age is going to reduce. If you start becoming more social, if your social activity increases, you also look younger to the deep neural network. We conducted multiple experiments like that, and we also published one paper demonstrating that we can utilize self-organizing maps to achieve islands of emotional stability. So basically, optimal state of well-being, you can become happy, and at the same time reverse psychological age. So there's a lot of research there and turned it into commercially accessible clock. Now they are all accessible through the Clock cloud, and there will be more clocks coming out end of this year. So one is microbiomic age. Again, Fyodor published the paper and was the first author on the first microbiomic aging clock in history, published in 2018, and on archive, and then 2020 in a peer-reviewed journal, and just got the granted patent. And also transcriptomic age will be launched end of this year. So of course you know what biological age is, otherwise you wouldn't be dialing in. It's a true measure of health and aging, not just your chronological age. Should be much more predictive of the time you die and also of diseases. An ideal property of the aging clock that I'm looking for always is the ability to identify an intervention that can reverse this clock. Many clocks are completely useless, right? Because I can train a predictor of your age based on the music you listen to, right? If you give me your playlist, I'll probably be able to predict your age, because if you like something that is a little bit more classical, most likely you're a little bit older. And I don't know many of the songs that were played in the 60s and 70s. And people who do usually are older. So you can predict the person's age using this data type, but it's not necessarily going to be extremely useful. Right? You can also try to reverse it by making the person listen to maybe newer music, and you will actually be able to build a system that will demonstrate significant age reversal based on your playlist, but it's not going to change your biological aging significantly. Maybe a little bit, right? Who knows? Maybe there are some feedback loops that are going to affect your psychology by listening to newer music. And then you also start interacting with more young people and perceiving yourself as a younger individual, and that will somehow help you reboot your biology a little bit, because your behavior is going to change, but most likely not. So some clocks are completely useless. So we try to figure out which clocks are useful for different applications, and which clocks can be easily deployed, and which clocks can be easily modifiable, and for what purpose. Ideally for the purpose of rejuvenation. So we developed a bunch of clocks, photo-aging clocks, anamnesis-based clocks, so based on medical surveys, activity-aging clocks based on wearable devices and your cell phone data. You can do that as well. ECG clocks. We also have a lot of molecular clocks, so microbiomics, transcriptomics, blood age, deep age, the methylation clock. And mind age turned out to be a very successful clock, because you don't need to, it's very inexpensive to collect. You just take a few surveys and then continue monitoring, and it can be very easily combined with many other clocks to get a deeper understanding of what is happening with the individual, and is there a specific mind-body connection. I actually can tell you a personal story about this clock. So why I got into this field. So around 2019, I went through a very difficult breakup, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm already kind of significantly older, and I was very depressed, and I thought that, okay, nobody's going to date me anymore, and maybe I should figure out how to actually apply some of the science that I'm working on myself to stay younger and to remain youthful for a longer period of time. And I realized that one of the best ways to stay to combat depression or sadness is optimism. And there is nothing better boosting your optimism, at least my experience, than thinking that the future is bright and long. So you think about being youthful for a very long time and being relevant, and it turned out that I thought, well, what kind of data types can be easily reversible, right, for behavior modification. Turned out that psychology is one of those areas that is fully in your control, and the way you behave also affects your biological aging clock. So there is some feedback loop. And that's when we started doing those experiments, taking massive data sets from population survey data. One of those data sets is MIDAS, midlife study in the US, and training predictors of psychological age, also training predictors of subjective age. So how old do you feel? Actually, you yourself are a great biomarker of your well-being and of your health. If you feel old, most likely if you feel 70, most likely you are 70, right? And if you figure out how to reverse this and feel younger, it might also give you a feedback loop into your biological aging clocks. So started experimenting on myself with those clocks as well, got much younger and much happier, and now extremely happy, and my psychological age is significantly lower than my biological age. And I do recommend everybody try it. And when we launched this clock, we also launched a tool for testing this clock. And we realized that 250,000 people within a few weeks tested their psychological age, mind age, and we had a lot of data to validate with. So it wasn't only me who benefited from this clock. And I think that psychological aging clocks are very useful for in testing all kinds of interventions, even social behavioral interventions. Even if you are doing clothing design, or if you are in perfumes, or if you are in any kind of consumer business, if you are selling insurance, you can use those kind of clocks to modify people's behavior for the better. And those clocks can be easily combined with many other clocks, and usually they are a very good gateway into explaining to people how aging clocks work. So once people figure out that it brings them some value, they might go and do deeper testing using molecular clocks, and also start researching aging. So it's one of the ways to actually get people into aging research. And now it's commercially launched. So again, full disclosure, I'm not a paid employee of Deep Longevity. I am a very deep, close friend of the company and non-paid consultant. But I use those clocks on myself, and so far, so good. So enjoying the benefits. And we're closely collaborating with the company scientists to develop more clocks and to validate them in different types of experimental settings. So now here I took already too much time, would like to pass the word to the CEO of the company, Deep. Deepnayak and Deep, please take it over. I would love to answer any questions.
Brilliant, Alex. Thank you so much. That was so insightful. So I'll move on a few more slides and then I will come back to the agenda, which is to actually give a demo of the Mind Age clock. But there are so many participants here who are interacting with us for the first time. So it's important for them to also understand how do we operate as a business. So we are in a clearly we work as a B2B2C market, which means our clocks are available to enterprises. It's also important for us to clarify that we do not have any sort of a diagnostic kit, right? We do not go and collect data in the marketplace. The data belongs to the enterprise who would be owning or working with their customers, their employees, their patients. We need the data in a digital form, which we'll process using our proprietary deep neural networks. And then what we'll share with them is the biological age and health recommendations. Now, before I get into Mind Age, I think it's important for us to sort of look at the magnitude of the problem in front of us. I think everybody understands the importance of mental health. We see organizations making allowances all over the world, but the scale is really startling, right? There is established literature saying 1 in 4 people experience mental health problems in England, about 1 in 5 in the US. The mental health well-being challenges affect majority of the global workforce, and 59% people report having at least one mental health challenge. And this is, as is from a McKinsey report, across regions, industries, and age groups. And the biggest reason, toxic workplace behavior. And we do believe that the technology that we are launching today can have significant impact in mitigating this cause. Another statistic, this is very US based from the National Safety Council at the University of Chicago, which says employers spend on an average about $15,000 on employees experiencing mental health issues. But I think the trend is something that we are witnessing again in all parts of the world, because this cost comes from days of work missed, employee turnover, replacement costs, and greater healthcare use by workers and family members. Again, something that we aim to help with this preventative framework that we have created. So how does Mind Age work? The premise is really simple. The user will fill up a psychological survey, like Alex mentioned. Our algorithms will generate the Mind Age, which will be compared against chronological age. We have a database of interventions provided by psychologists and experts. This tailored content is then shared with the user. The user actually works on that and then repeats the survey to continue to be on a wellness path. The Mind Age itself is an ensemble of deep learning models. We analyze the psychological profile across 6 well-being parameters. These are autonomy, personal growth, self-acceptance, positive relations, purpose in life, and environmental mastery. The AI is creating a psychological profile and projecting that on a grid, where it is saying that you belong to this island of stability, but at the same time it also identifies an adjacent higher plane of well-being, and then carves a path which is a unique pathway for every user in terms of how the user can actually attain a higher plane of well-being. And we'll see this shortly how this will happen. So quick summary about the Senoclock SaaS platform. This is home for all our aging clocks. You get the predictions nearly real time, sometimes in seconds, matter of minutes. It's highly scalable. You can deploy the technology for a handful of users, for a few hundred users, and for tens or thousands of users if need be. The way we are building our clocks is it's agnostic to protocols, so we can work with information from any labs, any place of the world, and we have privacy at the core of how the product is designed. So we don't store any patient data beyond 72 hours, and we can handle anonymized reports as well. So let's look at Senoclock now. So the enterprises will see the portal, which will look like this. You'll have a login and password, and then you could log into the portal. Now you see blood age here, and I won't spend time on this. We did the launch last year. The video is there on the website. You can go to 10 o'clock and look it up. We'll go to mind age, but you notice that blood age has got a nice red theme. Now if you go to mind age, it's a different product. The theme changes. It's a nice blue color. You would appreciate that we have gone to great lengths to keep the user experience the same. So our customers who are using blood age, when they start using mind age, they will find the platform very easy to use. But being SaaS, it is a journey of evolution. It's a journey of adding products, adding features, and we have done that significantly in mind age. So there are a lot of new features and functionality that you will see in mind age, which again we plan to bring it back into blood age in our next release. And like Alex mentioned, we have plans to release other aging clocks. Epigenetic age is next, which we plan to bring to the marketplace in a few months' time. So you will see a third clock being added here. So let's look at the scenario where there's a person who meets the therapist or a nurse, and the nurse is actually, or the therapist or the doctor is actually administering the questionnaire. The questionnaire looks, so this is the list of 24 questions that I was talking about. This is the external ID or the patient ID. And thanks Feder for pointing that out. I would have carried on. And this is the age, and this is the gender. So I have the conversation, and this can happen face to face, this can happen over a phone. I get the inputs, I save the file. I'm going to swap screens. Feral, please let me know if you are able to see the application now.
Yes, we see mind-age page of the web browser.
Yeah. So similar to blood age, you can see you can upload this questionnaire, right? So you will see I am in BU2. You will see total tests uploaded here are 34, reports processed are 28, and the count should go up by 1. Mind age pops up, and I say generate report. Now on here you see there is a window, and if you realize that, well, you actually didn't quite get a particular response and you want to change the file, then you can delete this and you can re-upload the file. System, however, keeps track in the delete count because we want to make sure that the platform is not being misused. Here I will go on and generate the report. Let's give it a few seconds. You can see the test is uploaded and the report has been processed. Now if I click here, it shows me that on 20th April with this external ID, the survey was submitted. Now the physician, nurse, whoever has done this can easily download this report and then share this back with the user via email, WeChat, WhatsApp, whatever communication channel they have in place. So let's look at how the mind age report looks like today. Is the PDF visible now?
Yes, Deep.
Thanks, Fedo. So this is the cover page. This is co-branded. You see the ID of the user, the age and the gender. This is the name of the company who is using Mind Age, and this is their logo. The next page gives the chronological age as well as the Mind Age. It gives an explanation. It also compares how this person is with respect to others in our database, and it sort of acts as a proxy for a projection into the population. Then we come to the heart of Mind Age, and where we leverage the popularly used risk scale to come up with a psychological profile. So we look at the 6 well-being parameters: positive relations with others, self-acceptance, autonomy, personal growth, environmental mastery, and purpose in life. And then we are looking at the well-being scores, which are split across 3 zones of distress, improve, and comfort. We have built our aging clocks keeping in mind that they should be accessible to everyone in the world. And not everyone in the world is tuned to health or understands everything about their own health or these terms or these jargons. So we have gone to great lengths to actually explain this to the layman. So when they see it, they are able to make sense of this report, actually for any of our aging clocks reports, and have an informed discussion with the healthcare practitioner. So therefore, we explain what these well-being parameters are, what's positive relations with others, right? And we have a definition: deep, meaningful connections with your family, friends, and colleagues. What does the high score mean? You have people you can rely on in difficult situations. Others see you as a giving person and you are ready to make compromises to build strong relations. We explain what a low score means. Then we have the individual score. Once we have done that, then the algorithm, looking at the combination of this, comes up with a list of recommendations which they believe are going to be very helpful for the user. So we have the recommendation, we have the description, and then we have a small area for action taken. We do believe in journaling. We have released previous applications, consumer-oriented applications, where we tested this to great success. So this can be a tool which is very useful for a user when they are in between appointments, when they are actually waiting for an appointment for a therapist, and they can get some relief from this process. They can actually write down what is the actions that they are taking on PDF, using the tools in the PDF, or they can print it out and then write it by hand and then share it with their therapist when they are meeting them. You will see there are 6 pages. We have a set of 12 recommendations, which again we found out to be a good set, which allows a user enough time to reflect, to take some actions, work on those actions before they can come and do a survey again. We have a box at the end which talks about the recommendation rating. This is where we as an organization want to get feedback from our users where possible, where they can tell us if they are able to really relate to those recommendations and if some are better than the others. I'll go back to MindAge application now. Is the application on the screen now?
Yes, Deep.
Thanks, Peru. So you also see a button here which shows action. So what the physician can do actually is they can click on this button and they can then see the entire dashboard of everything that has happened with that patient so far. So this table, the MindAge summary details and the MindAge history table, lists all of those reports which the user has done in the past. It gives the date, it gives the scores, gives the MindAge overall, then the well-being scores, and then it allows the physician to actually download each one of those reports, and you can go back as long as you want in history. The visualization here is for the last 5 records, and you can see I just did one today on 20th, and I did a few yesterday before. It becomes very easy for the person who is taking care of the end user to see and track how the person is doing across each one of these well-being scores and have that conversation, right? So this obviously has been done in a test mode, but if it is happening every week, every 2 weeks, once in a month, whatever the frequency they decide on, then they can have a conversation to say, okay, what is happening, right? Why is this particular score changing? Why is there a difference? what's happening to the mind age over a period of time. Now, speaking with our stakeholders, our customers, we also understood that it might not be very desirable for a number of organizations, again in different parts of the world. They may not even have the time for the healthcare practitioner to actually administer the survey. Also, the survey and the questions are designed in a way, some of them are slightly wonky, where we would actually want the person to think and reflect and see what does it really mean to them, and this would take time. So it's important that we created a feature and a facility for the user to do it themselves. But we had to do it in a way which can be done in an anonymized manner, because that is the way we have built Senoclock, where we are not storing any PII at all. So we have the functionality of go-to survey. Now, I am running a mental health clinic, and I have certain users or patients, and I know I want them to use this survey. So I am going to write their unique number, which I have on my system, and I am going to click new user survey link. When I click on this button, it's going to create a record in the system. So you see a new link has been generated. I copy this, and I can close this, and you can see the external ID, a new record has been created. So this link is again shared to the end user via email, could be sent via WhatsApp, could be sent via any of the other messaging tools that they might be using. What the user sees is a unique link. They would enter their gender. Let's say I'm a female, I'm 34 years old, and then they will see the questionnaire. Now the same questionnaire is there in a web-based form. They could do it also on their phones using any of the devices. So I'm going to go through this quickly. Obviously, we want the end user to reflect upon this, think upon this, see how they fit into the scale, and then choose the right values. You see there are 24 questions. At the bottom, there is a tracker which links and tracks how many questions have been answered, how many are left. So it tells me 16 more are left and keeps counting to a countdown. I have 8 left now. I'm going to do this a bit quickly. And it's done. That's it. The user has submitted the questionnaire. So I come to Senoclock and I see I created this user ID and the survey count has gone up by 1. I can click on this. As a physician, I can go look at what were the scores. I can look at what were the recommendations that were shared. I can download this like I did before, send it to the user. I can actually send it to the user with some additional information, again based on the scores, with some specific instruction. So this enables the conversation to flow between the physician and the end user. We have the feature of multiple business unit. We understand there could be hospitals there, clinics there, who are operating in different cities. So what is coming across here as BU 1, 2, 3 are actually business units which can be named as those clinics, and the patient can actually go to any clinic. So once the patient ID is entered, it's a master record, it's a unique record that stays in our system. I can spend some time and look at statistics. So you have the ability. Our pricing is on every prediction, so it becomes important for our customers as well to be able to track every successful report, every successful prediction that is being made by 7 o'clock. So here you have various views of slicing and dicing the data, methods of slicing and dicing the data, and looking at where your reports are coming from, which clinic, which business unit is doing more than the others, which clocks are being used. All of that is going to be tracked here. So I'm back on the survey history page. Now we have sent the survey to the user. The user has got the report. They are working on some of those actions. A week has passed, or a couple of weeks have passed, and there is a schedule that has been established, and you want to actually send a report again to the end user. So and you can have potentially a very long page and hundreds of rows, and you can actually look it up simply by typing up the external ID here. So I know the user ID of the patient. I put in the ID here, and I say mind age history, and it takes me to the history, and I can then look up and see, okay, when did the last survey come in. You can also use the browser functionality and a simple Windows or Mac functionality and type in, and then it tells you where the record is. Now, once you have recorded this and once you identified the record, you have the option of actually generating a second survey. So you can click the generate link. This is an existing user. Copy the link and send the link again. So you can see the total count is 3. I will not go through the same exercise again, but you can easily imagine you send the survey link, you fill up the survey, the count will go up, and then it will reflect in the MindAge dashboard as well. That is everything we had from a application standpoint. I do have one more slide I want to touch upon. And the point that I'd like to emphasize here is you can see this application, you can see that you saw the demo. We'll have the curated video also uploaded. It's very easy to use. We are happy to do the trainings for our enterprises, record those trainings, but we have actually built a system which is very intuitive, very easy to use, and it sort of sits in very nicely with whatever ecosystem the clinics have in terms of managing the information of their end users and interacting with them. This entire application is actually, and this entire functionality is also available as an API. So we do white label our aging clocks. So if there are organizations, employers, insurers who are looking to do something around mental health, then we are able to provide our technology as an API. Which brings me to an important point of actually discussing some use cases that we think are very relevant. Is the slide visible now?
Yes, Deep.
So this is the last slide of the presentation, and I think together we can reflect on what are the industry use cases of this technology of aging clocks as a technology. We believe this is a powerful preventative health tool that can be used by employers. It can be personalized care that is extended to the employees. And knowing the biological age or the psychological or mind age can be the perfect call to action, right? You know that certain markers or your cholesterol or something is off, and that may not really trigger an action in an individual, but if you know that you are 45 but your body is actually resembling a 50-year-old, it might be a far greater motivation to do something. This session was all about how MindAge can work for psychologists and therapists. So I think I touched upon this point enough. This is an additional assessment measure which can be leveraged by them. This provides the technology which gives continuous engagement and helps build resilience in between visits. For insurance providers, we see unique customer engagement as a fantastic motivation where insurers can actually connect with their policy holders. Like I said, our technology is available as an API, so we can integrate with existing apps and websites. And we need to address the huge gap in mental health. And we have done research where we have shown that mental health, and Alex pointed this out in his presentation as well, affects your physical health. It affects your biological aging. We are looking to work and actually working with a couple already large apps and software platforms who have their own customers, who have their own unique customer journeys, who are looking at health, mental health in a comprehensive way. We can provide a powerful feature set by the existing functionality that we bring, and using this we can then allow them to fashion unique customer journeys. And the same ability for consumer health companies can help drive personalized nutrition, which is already catching up and is going to become very, very big. And this can therefore also allow them to measure the impact of any prevention and wellness products that their consumers are using. That is the end of the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing now and see what questions we have. And Feda, I'll request you if you can jump in to answer some of them.
Well, we've received a couple of questions, and I believe I have addressed all of them in the chat while you were presenting.
Okay, that is great. Thank you, Ferrer. We still have 10 minutes. Maybe we can wait for 5 minutes to see if there are any more questions.
Yeah, so I will have to disconnect. I'm sorry, I listened to the presentation, and it's wonderful work that young.ai is doing and has been doing over the past 2 years. Great pleasure to be with you, and clocks will be coming. And I think it's very, very important to integrate those aging clocks, starting with psychological aging clocks, into pretty much any business and any clinical practice, to start tracking much more than just disease biomarkers, because I think prevention starts from understanding of your current status. And very often you don't have anything broken, but it's getting there. It's good to understand which weak points you have and where to focus on. So I'll have to disconnect, and very happy to be with you today. Let's keep in touch and hope to launch more clocks.
Thanks for joining us, Alex.
Great to see a lot of encouragement, a lot of support, a lot of interest. So, Feder, perhaps you could even drop an email address on the chat for all the participants, and we'd be happy to hear from you. Please reach out to us if you'd like to have a follow-up discussion, even a follow-up demo. Then
also, I see there are a couple of people who have asked questions just now. Have any of these clocks been externally tested and validated with longevity drugs, supplements, NAD supplementation, rapamycin, metformin, etc.? If not, is this something you're interested in doing? Yes, I believe we're interested in doing this. We had some preliminary studies that we organized by pulling some data from clinicaltrials.gov, which featured not NAD but niacin, which is quite similar, and we've kind of tried to simulate the effect of niacin on the blood profiles of people that we could have whose blood profiles we have access to via public channels, but we did not yet organize a study in which we prospectively observe how the participants change in terms of their pace of aging and blood profiles and other aging clocks. But I believe that is an interesting concept, and we have been thinking about that, but we did not have the opportunity to. What do you think, Deep?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something we can explore.
Yes. So what is the next question that we have here? What's the cost? You mentioned per test, but how much? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions around commercials, I think. So yeah, it's not on our website, but we can discuss this when we have one-on-one discussions. So please reach out to us. The website has a contact us form. So request all of you to drop in. We probably have your email addresses, so we can reach out to you ourselves. But do drop in an email, a note. Just fill up fill up the form, put in your name and email address, and then we can set up a call to discuss those questions. Feder just dropped in the email address in the chat, so please just drop us a one-liner and we'll reach out to you.
Okay, so I guess next question is, I have heard of future self from Deep Longevity. Is mind age the same thing? Not quite. It is based on a similar concept, and yes, the self-organizing maps that I used as the recommendation engines are significant parts of both these models. But if you go to future self, you will notice that and take the test, you'll notice that the section about your psychological age is quite small and undetailed. In SeneClock, the model is, and well, the whole presentation style is more focused on your longevity potential and your psychological age. So, but basically, there is a number of common features, but I don't think that these two projects will kind of keep sharing their fate in the long term. Eventually, these two projects will diverge, and we do not have currently any plans for futureself.ai, but we do have big plans for MindAge and SeneClock. Deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do. We are a company which are focused on the B2B business. So we work with enterprises, right? But we do test our technology. We put it out there in the real world. So that's how we realize what is working, what is not working, and we get valuable feedback. So that's what we did with Future Self. That was, you can say, MindAge 1.0. We put it up there. We got a lot of feedback. We had tens of thousands of users registering. We realized a lot of things, a lot of insights, which were then bundled into further improving MindAge and then bringing it to customers. So that's exactly what Feder said.
Okay, we have more questions. How do mind aging clocks fit into the larger field of cognitive aging research, and what future directions are being explored in this area? How do mind aging clocks fit into the larger field of cognitive aging research, and what future directions are being explored in this area? Well, based on the overall direction of the cognitive research, we frequently refer to, and our kind of approach to aging clocks is in large part based on the social-emotional selectivity theory by Laura Carstensen, and it is a theory in which human motivations change based on, well, basically their perceived time horizon, which can be affected by how close you feel yourself to be to death, or to maybe some other life-changing situations which can disrupt your life, so just being old and kind of terror management theory, which comes with the realization that you do not have much time left on this earth, is just one situation in which human motivations can change. Other situations, life situations in which this could happen, are moving across the country. Just because you disrupt your life, you abandon your social circle and need to set up in a new place. So in such situations, what this theory posits is that people tend to value emotionally meaningful activities and behaviors more than exploratory behaviors, such as looking for, knowledge, looking for something better, trying to meet new people to grow your network. So this shift goes from these kind of preparatory activities in which a person prepares for future challenges, gets replaced with living a good life here and now. Even in Laura Carson's, there is a huge body of work on how this definition of emotionally meaningful activities is different between different cultures, and kind of depends on the personal context as well. But overall, this means that people, they tend to become more agreeable. They tend to talk to their relatives or friends or close social friends more, and try to remove any kind of unnecessary connections from their lives. This is one thing in which the human psychology changes with age. Another is obviously positivity theory, or positivity effect, according to which older people tend to see everything through rose-tinted glasses, so to speak. They pay more attention to positive information rather than negative. Well, not quite though. It's just that humans as general pay more attention to negative information, but the balance between negative and positive attention is more skewed towards the positive in the older people, but still they're able to perceive and pay more attention to negative information when needed. So these two effects are well established and described previously. What we are trying to finally achieve with our aging clocks is to establish some kind of a longevity mindset in people, and discover what mode of thinking allows people to make the decisions that bring them to live up to 80, 90, 100 years. And Santa Clock platform is one platform that we hope could help us achieve this goal. And when paired with other types of aging clocks, such as blood age and transcriptomic, microbiomic aging clocks that Alex mentioned previously, and Zip also kind of brief that they will be eventually added to Santa Clock. When all these aging clocks come together, we believe that finally then we would be able to provide people with a multifaceted view on their organismal pace of aging, and allow them to modify other aspects of aging by first modifying their mind, which seems to be the easiest thing to do, because everything we do is basically just behavior, habits, and any decisions that we make to live healthily or unhealthily, to go exercise, smoke, or drink. All these decisions are made based on our motivations, based on our psychology. So this is kind of the ultimate target for longevity, for longevity interventions and therapies.
I think we should stop now. We have crossed the time limit. I think this was very exciting, very interactive. So wanted to thank everyone. In closing, I think I'd like to say there was a question which talked about the hallmarks of aging, and I think I've said this before. So we think mental health should be another hallmark of aging that should get added and should be looked at by researchers all over the world. And we'll be definitely happy to collaborate on any efforts in this direction. Again, thanks to all the attendees who joined us in the MindAge launch. Looking forward to continue this discussion offline. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Please send all the correspondence to the chat, to the email mentioned in the chat, and we will answer all your questions.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.